What in the hell is going on, YouTube? I'm Drunken Drogger, and in today's episode, we're going to be scratching the surface of Dying Light 2, with information that we have about the game so far, and some of my own ideas about the main character, while also discussing the Huron virus and some special infected. The Huron virus that is constantly mutating has completely destroyed life as we know it, taking out 98% of the world's population. Its story is set 20 years from the first Dying Light and 15 years after the virus was released, or who knows, the GRE probably had everything to do with it, trying to sell the virus to a terrorist organization or malevolent nation for profit, most likely. Humanity's last refuge and hope for the future takes place in Europe. This place is called the City, which is quite literally the last city, although the American South is probably doing just fine.
Thank God for rednecks!
The remainder of humanity is building off the bones of the past. Now civilization has fallen to the horrors of undead darkness, living in a dark age. Unfortunately, the remaining people are still divided into factions, which plays a pretty big role in the game. Humanity divided. Big surprise there. Luckily, our new protagonist will likely set things straight, Aiden Caldwell. Well, maybe it will ultimately be decided by the choices of the player, which will lead to different possible endings like the first game. Aiden Caldwell is trying to uncover his past, and the player goes on this journey by helping him find the answers. Aiden is already infected, and is presented with the biomarker developed by the GRE, go figure, which monitors the rate of infection via an elastic needle to a vein, essentially warning the player with a change of either red or green diodes, depending on the rate of infection, in dark zones, pretty much saying, get the hell out of there before you change to a freaking monster. Green, you're good, and red, you're dead. That's really all you have to remember. Or undead. While being infected has its obvious drawbacks, I think that there is more to this protagonist than meets the eye. Perhaps the virus will give Aiden unnatural abilities, and this idea doesn't seem too far-fetched given one of the possible endings in the first game. I have no concrete evidence to back this up, and it's just simply my own speculation. We'll have to find out when the game releases, but I hope I'm right because that would be insane. They do keep mentioning stay human, which means a number of things, obviously. Don't lose your humanity by making bad decisions, don't become a monster, duh. Or my own personal theory, the more you tap into your dark, unnatural abilities, it's at the cost of your humanity. This would cause others to outright fear you because of your power and potential, or creating a cult that worships you as a god. Who can say on the last one, a dark skill tree full of powerful abilities would truly be epic. Speaking of abilities, let's talk about the gameplay. Gore? Check. Insane parkour? Check. Grabbing a freaking zombie and jumping off the top of a building to survive a fall? Priceless. Dying Light 2 will have over 3,000 parkour animations, so moving around the open world will feel seamless. Oh, and holy decapitations, finishing moves, and sweet dismemberment. This game, like the first one, is looking like how a zombie game should play. Tension with slight moments when the player can finally breathe. The feeling of panic during a chase, knowing certain death is only a few feet behind you, makes a game come to life. Combat in Dying Light 2 seems to be more fluid and precise. Mixing parkour combat, traps, creative weaponry, and stealth is a perfect concoction that players will surely love. We don't know anything about the skill trees just yet, but if it's anything like the first game, I'd say we're in good hands. One of my favorite skills in the first game was applying camouflage. It's rather disgusting, but it was effective, making the player invisible to all undead. Hopefully we'll have that same OP stealth ability in this game, but speaking of stealth mechanics, sneaking in dark zones looks freaking sick. Players will be rewarded stepping inside these dwellings of horror, just be careful. I'm sure early game will be very difficult to traverse in some of these areas during the day, but as the player levels up in skill, we'll be able to go toe-to-toe with some of the most horrific special infected the game has to offer, or at least we could in the first game. And how satisfying it was to kill Volatiles. Sweet blissful revenge. Moving right along, I had mentioned Aiden's infection earlier. Let's look at the stages of infection and what exactly is the Huron virus. This virus is very similar to rabies. Rabies travels through the host's nervous system, however the Huron virus travels through the bloodstream, quickly spreading throughout the entire body, whereas rabies takes weeks before symptoms are shown. And by this time, it's far too late. Side note, in the event you actually are ever bitten by a suspected animal, go seek medical attention, like immediately. It can be treated and cured, but only in the span of 24 hours. After that, it could possibly be too late. Anyway, moving on to the Huron virus. Now, Kyle Crane, the main protagonist of the first game, only had seizures in the very beginning stages of the infection, but it was put on hold by the antisin, merely slowing it down. Had he not received antisin, he would begin to experience the 4 stages of infection.
Doctor? Hello? Anybody there?
Camden, are you there? Damn it.
So I'm supposed to get a vaccine?
What? No, suppressant. It's called antisin. Suppresses the symptoms. Here, sit. Antisin postpones the inevitable. Best the GRE could do.
Inevitable? So there's no cure?
It's a variation of rabies. There's no cure right now, but you see, I've been running tests on both antisin and infected tissue. A cure is possible, definitely possible.
Oh shit, you really think you can figure it out?
With Dr. Camden's help, yes.
Stage 1. You show flu-like symptoms, pupils become dilated, followed by fever and cold chills. Stage 2. The body temperature rises to a staggering 43 degrees Celsius or 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's safe to assume that the body is dead, but somehow the mind is still intact. Convulsions and skin degradation take hold at this stage. Stage 3. The infected begin to scratch the skin off due to what I'm assuming was the body's inflammation response, causing open wounds, and you can no longer ask for help because the virus affects your ability to speak. Stage 4. The virus has altered your DNA, and at this point the mutation is irreversible. You're now a sick human trapped in the body of a monster. Yikes. So this is almost like being possessed by some crazed demon, and you're just at its mercy, just looking and watching people being slaughtered by your hands while you have absolute no control. Knowing that, let's move on to the special infected, the bane of which is still UV light, keeping back the forces of darkness with that purplish glow we all remember in the first game is nostalgic. The day and night cycle is still a major component to this game, and players' anxiety and feelings of impending doom approaches as the sun goes down. When nighttime arrives, the undead flood the streets. Heart-stopping screams in the night are sure to give us all the thrill we remember. The original special infected have been confirmed, as well as some new infected added to that list. We only know of a few new types so far, but possibly more will be announced. Let's start with Volatiles. Volatiles make their appearance once again with their creepy-ass mouths, increased muscle mass, and dense bone structure, ready to chase and devour any foolish survivor to cross their path. They're the deadliest of the infected due to their strength, armored skin, and lack of fatigue. Truly an opponent to be feared, especially in numbers. Transitioning to the newly infected, their mutations were caused by the military dropping chemical bombs on cities in hopes of destroying the infected hordes. However, this action was like adding gasoline to the fire and just made matters worse. One of the resulting hellspawn that emerged from the flames is known as a Revenant. No, not that Revenant, this one. The Revenant, a slender infected with strange, petrified wing-like growths that protrude from its back. He's slow, and his legs can barely support his upper body. This nightmare of a monster buffs surrounding infected in the area while also creating a toxic mist. Now, as to what kind of buffs they give is yet to be determined, but they'd be a priority target to go after. Yet another creature lurks in the shadows seeking human flesh. The Banshee, a petite monstrosity with large hands and talon-like claws, perfect for ripping apart flesh. They are driven by instinct, and their behavior seems to indicate the lost soul of a woman trapped within a monstrous cell of rotting hatred and pain. This witch shows moments of clarity and intelligibility. The Banshee wears a distressed black evening dress, gold jewelry, and a strange necklace. I'm assuming the Banshee may sneak up behind players, dealing some serious damage with those claws. The night is still fraught with terror, and nothing causes more terror than the chilling screams of our next special infected. The Howler. The Howler, once on track to become a volatile, like all other special infected, was interrupted by the military's meddling. These chemicals attacked the volatile's larynx and lungs, causing the volatile to become a howler. A pulsating yellowish glow emits from their chest as a dead giveaway not to alert them. They function as a way to alert the hordes and other special infected to the area when they detect a player. They won't attack right away, but should either be avoided or dispatched quickly. Not doing so would be certain suicide. And speaking of suicide, let's talk about our next special infected, the Bomber. The Bomber, or as I like to call it, the Suicide Bomber.
You baby secret, she whispers, just to you.
Allahu Akbar.
Seeks to destroy threats. The chemicals have enhanced it to explosive proportions, causing a quick death to all around it. I'm not quite sure on what the blast radius of this big guy is, but don't get close enough to find that out. Like the Howler, the pulsating yellowish glow can be seen emitting from their fat, swollen bodies. They're large and ready to charge at any they would deem a threat. The Drowner and Snatcher are two more types that we don't have any information on. However, both names are a dead giveaway to their purpose. As of the time of this video, more details and information on the special infected are unknown. In conclusion, I can't wait for this game, and I will be doing more videos about Dying Light 2 when we get more information, and I will most definitely be doing a playthrough of this game upon its release come December 7th, 2021. If you're like me and are a huge fan of this series, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with more Dying Light 2. Also, check out my playthrough of the first Dying Light as we all anxiously await the second game. Thanks for watching my first video on the channel, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.